the red light mean we're live?
Correct.
All right. Well, hey, look at that. It's like I'm like 15 or 20 seconds early. How about that? That's Matt. That's a good start for the day, right? So, good afternoon, everyone. This is our chat with the Chief session for. We're in the month of May. Man, it seems like we just had Christmas like yesterday. So the year's flying by. What I like to do is start off by, if anyone's tuned in yet, if you just kind of let us know how does it sound and visually how it looks. I'm not allowed to touch anything, so I got to rely on my assistants today. I'm going to introduce them to you in just a second. But if anybody could just let me know if the sound's okay and if the visual is coming across. What I like to do in these sessions is spend a few minutes talking about our crime numbers, where we're at crime-wise, what are some of the issues we're facing, how are we looking on our clearance rates, and then I like to open the door and then just have some conversation and dialogue, some interaction. We've got a couple topics that I just jotted down here before we started that I like to share with you. And then really, it's really just about having some conversation back and forth. If we have a situation that we talk about a particular case, I'll try to be as open and transparent as I can, but I don't want to give away anything that would hurt the case or hurt anything with the prosecution or the ongoing investigation. But I do understand that there's some cases that people have some curiosity about or some questions about. So, Joy, sounds okay? Visually, okay, good. Well, Joy, thank you. So that makes me feel better. So I've got Lauren and Matt with me today that are helping me out. And then we'll do this session again this evening at 6 o'clock. And I understand things get busy and hustle and bustle of stuff, and sometimes it's hard to sit down and ask questions or back and forth, and just life's busy. I get it. So if you're not able to, and you're able to tune in later, look at some of the topics we talk about, that's perfect. But I understand. But I do try to open up a little bit to have some dialogue. I'm still like the in-person stuff with the face-to-face meetings, but I understand the use of technology and the benefit that it can give us. So I appreciate this time together. We'll just have some conversation, some information sharing, if you will. So Joy, thank you. Rhea, thank you. Rhea should be in class. Carrie, good afternoon. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Ms. Cox sits on our use of force review board and just recently helped us with some sergeant interviews, so I appreciate Carrie, active member of NAACP, and I just appreciate you spending some time with us and working with us as we select some next leadership in the department. Keith, good afternoon. I appreciate you, my friend. Chief, I don't know if you made it up to Ashland on Sunday. If you did, sorry, I missed you. I did see in NPD Recruiters we had the biggest and best event ever. So Keith, first of all, man, thank you. I heard it was a great event. I did not make it up there. I did send two recruiters up there. I'm glad they both came back. But they did talk about it. It was very well put together. It looks like they had a nice turnout, nice weather. So that's good to know, man. I appreciate it. I'm sorry I missed you, but I heard the same thing. I even got some pictures sent to me that it was a really good event. So I appreciate that. Let's get one. Okay, fair enough. Very good. Kimberly, thanks for being here. Good afternoon, Chief. All right, good. So that means that things are sounding good and looking good. Marie Banks, we appreciate you and your team, Chief. Miss Banks, let me tell you, curveball. I appreciate you. You guys are fantastic, and the relationship we have. I really am very, very humble and very, very thankful of the time we get to interact and spend together. It's special, and it means a lot. I think it means a lot to this department, our community, and it also means a lot to me. Last week was Police Week. We actually finished it out we had a breakfast from one of the local churches here on Saturday. But we had our service last Thursday at Calvary Chapel here in Newport News. We had a really nice turnout. There was a nice video put together. Excellent. We had some music from individuals from the church. It was just really, really nice. I want to thank Pastor Tony and all those that were in attendance, but really I want to thank Pastor Tony and Mike, and just for the congregation for allowing us to use their place of worship there, putting some music together for us, and it was just really, really great, and I'm very, 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 very thankful. You know, it was in 1962 that President Kennedy signed in that we would use May 15th as Police Memorial Day, and whatever week that fell in would be Police Memorial Week. So across the country, police officers celebrated that and remembered those that paid the ultimate sacrifice and gave their life and the performance of service for this job. So when I looked at we sent at least 2 officers to each service. I was able to attend this year. I was able to attend Hampton service, and Suffolk, and then Norfolk. I was going to go to Portsmouth, but I had a meeting here I couldn't get out of. But we made sure that we had representation at each one of the localities, and then we sent our honor guard with Chief Grinstead up to the nation's capital, right up in D.C., where we have the large memorial up there. And that's about 40,000 people attend that every year. It was just really, really, it's just very, very somber. And to remember back on the 12 individuals in our department in the city of Newport News that gave the ultimate sacrifice. You know, and we talked a little bit about, in our ceremony, we remembered the 4 officers in Charlotte that had just lost their lives in serving an arrest warrant, and the officer in Chicago that was shot and killed, the officer in New York that was shot and killed, and it reminds us that none of us know what tomorrow holds. None of us know what kind of calls we're going to go on, or what call I may receive this afternoon or tonight. And men and women who put this uniform on, I'm not just talking about here, I'm talking across the country. You know, our uniforms look different, but what unites us is the service. So last week was Police Week. We had our ceremony on Thursday. There were a lot of good services across the 7 cities. So I really appreciate those that came out, and those that attended. I think it's online, if I'm not mistaken. I think we have it posted online. Several people have called me and asked, could we just post the video? So I'll work with Matt and Lauren to get that up, just so some people can see the video and don't sit through the whole service again. But Sarah did a really nice job. She's done the videos for us for the last years. Collaborated a little bit on that, and what we wanted to put together, what type of message we were trying to get across. So I appreciate anyone who got to see it or take the time to look at it online. And just remember that we owe a debt to the 12 men and women here in Newport News that gave the ultimate sacrifice. All right, we're going to scroll back up. Kim, Chief, I have a question. Is there any possibility of doing some kind of walk in my neighborhood on Charles Street to have some officers to get a positive interaction with us instead of all the negative that has been happening? So, Kim, it's certainly something we can look at. You know, as the weather changes now, on Fridays, I will start walking back in selected neighborhoods, and if you're a neighborhood where you like to have me come out and walk, or citizens want to walk, or just have me come up, knock on the door, and have a conversation with them, or knock in the neighborhood, we certainly can do that. The precincts have the ability to put together walks, and if citizens reach out to the individual precinct, whether you're located in the north part of the city, the central, or the south, it's always good to have that citizen engagement that would like to have officers walk in the neighborhood. Myself, the fire chief, I'm not even opposed to asking the mayor to come out, and he has said, you know, Chief, if you'd like to do something together, let me know. So he's very much engaged in our community, our neighborhood. So yeah, if that's something you would like, it's something we can certainly do. I would appreciate that. So thank you for bringing that up. Lauren, I'm going to scroll back up just for a second. Did I miss anybody? I got Kim. Miss Neal, it's good to have you here. I hope all is going well. I hope everything's good with you and your family. I appreciate that. Let's see, Brian. Thank you, your support with the Police Week, allowing the police pipes and drums and honor guard to attend and represent the city. Brian, I appreciate it. The pipes and drums do a great job for us. I think they are well known. You guys are well known throughout our area. What you bring to the table, I am very proud and honored to work with you all, and the different events that I see you do in Police Week is really special. So whether in DC or here local at the events we have, you guys take us to a different level, a higher element, and I appreciate the work that you do, all of you. It adds something, and it's special. You know, when those pipes and drums start playing at ceremonies, man, I think it pulls at people's heart, makes people stop and just think a minute about some that have paid those prices, right? And it means a lot. So I greatly appreciate that. You're very, very welcome, and I look forward to the continued relationship and partnership we have. Let's see. Hi, Chief. I have a friend that wants to become a police officer, but doesn't have his diploma or GED, but is working strong towards it. Will you still consider him? Yeah. So we do need a high school diploma or a GED, one of the two. So absolutely. Sometimes it takes people longer than others. Sometimes they go back and get that. And life throws curveballs at us. I'm not going to. We got to have both, one or the other, right? But I'm not going to lose good talent because it may take somebody a little bit longer to get that. So absolutely consider it. There's some things we can do with pre-hiring people, but that high school diploma, that or GED, we would need that to move forward. But I absolutely would still consider them. And if there's any question or doubt, I'm telling you, if you send us a name and a number, I can have a recruiter call you and just kind of walk you through the process. I remember when I was in college, I was going through the process. I'll get it out. When I was going through the process, one of the reasons that drew me to the department that I chose was just the relationship the recruiter had with me. Just coming back, having conversations, routine, staying in touch with me. It made me feel like they really wanted me to be in their organization. So I think we have a great recruiting division down there. They're really, really strongly invested in people. I want this department to be the department of choice. That you're paid well, you're compensated for what you do, equipment-wise. I think we have some of the best training in the state. I'd put us up against anybody on the East Coast, the opportunities that we have in this department. So absolutely. So if you send me a number, I could have a conversation with you myself, but really having that recruiter talk to you, I think, would clear up any questions and erase any doubt and address any issues or concerns that you have. Kim, I have no April. Kim, help me a little bit with what you're saying there. No availability? Is that, I don't know, not available?
No avail. Like, she's tried, but it hasn't worked.
Reached out to the precinct.
Yeah, so Kim, then just if you see if I get this right from what I've been taught from these guys. If you drop a direct message number, well, is that right? Why are you guys laughing at me?
It's fine.
Send me a number, Kim, and we'll call you. How about that?
Direct messages.
Direct messages. Look, see, so for people that are logged in, I just want you to know that Matt and Lauren mess with me. Kelly's not here today, so she probably told them to do that. But that's why I'm not allowed to touch anything, right? So the lingo and all the jargon and social media I got to get from other people. You'll probably find no other chief that invests more in it, but you also probably find no chief that is at least good at it, right? So I have people around me that help me with that. So yeah, we'll figure it out. But no, I do want to get back out now that the weather's changing. That's something I enjoy doing. It's just on Fridays. I work with my assistant to block off the calendar from like 4 to 5, and I just select some neighborhoods, and whether we're up in Courthouse Green or Aqueduct or Marshall Courts, if we're walking in Hilton, up and down Jefferson Avenue, 79th Street, over on Washington. I enjoy getting out and having some conversation. All right, Kim, I'll get it. We'll write it down, and we'll shoot you a call and see what we can get. Okay. So yeah, sorry. So I think we're caught up with everybody. All right. So before we get another message, just share a couple things with you. Where are we at? Oh, Brenda. So how about that? So Brenda, you're waiting for me to get ready to move on to the final question. Can you scroll up for me just a minute? Let me just see what I was asking. And I apologize. Sometimes when the questions come in, it jumps a little bit, so you may hear me ask one. I might have to scroll up or down. Just try to catch up. Go down just one more. There we go. All right. Just tell them to send you and they will know what it is. Direct message. Well, I appreciate that. You're about 30 seconds behind me, but I appreciate that, my friend. No, fair enough. Brianna, thanks. Will you be able to go through the academy and work on getting No, before we can hire you, I need the GED or the high school diploma. I need one of those two before we can offer you the position as a police officer. There's other positions that we have in the department that don't require that, but to go forward in law enforcement, we need that. Right? We need the driver's license and high school diploma and GED. I can't hire you as an officer and then work towards that. We need to get that beforehand. We do some pre-hire things, but it wouldn't be as a police officer, be in other positions if that's something we're working towards. But if we're going to go into law enforcement, I have to have that. That's one of the things we do require before we go any further. Joy, I have a question. Oh, I'm sorry. I have a question. When people are in a drive-through, okay. When people are in a drive-through, or usually some fast food place, can they hang out and obstruct Warwick Boulevard? And is the case a wreck? And if this causes a wreck, who is at fault? I was taught if you can't complete a turn, don't make it. So Joy, I'm a little hesitant to, if you're in a drive-through, are you saying you're in a drive-through getting ready to order food and people are hanging out of the car causing a problem, or are you saying the line's backed up and people are into traffic? I'm not sure exactly which one. We do have a couple. There's been a restaurant or two on Jefferson Avenue that we've had some complaints where the line has been so far backed up that it's bled onto or tapered out into the street. So we try to work with the businesses there to move things or open up a second line, because we don't like to see that line going through an establishment or a business that gets backed up on the street, on the right of way, right? So yeah, it's but I can tell you on stuff like that, if we're talking the same language, we really try to work through it. It's not really about giving people a ticket or something like that. It's really trying to work through that to make it work, if that's what we're talking about. So I'm not sure if you're talking about, hey, I'm at a drive-through and I'm getting ready to order food in a line and somebody's hanging out disrupting traffic, or if you're talking about the line of the drive-through is so long that it's spilling onto traffic. But it would be something we would try to work through. Sonia, I'm having trouble locating paperwork to sign up for a ride-along in the North District. Can you help? Yeah, so look, if you just email us, we can send you the paperwork. It's not that big a deal. We'll send it to you. You tell us what precinct you'd like to ride, what shift you'd like to ride on, and we can make that happen. So if we send it to you and you have trouble finding it, or if you're asking, hey, I can't even find where it is online, if you just shoot us a call, we can make it happen. We can work through that. Okay, gotcha. I want to know ahead of time because I attend on Friday morning. Yeah, so Kim, like I said, I'll give you a call. We'll try to work through it just to make sure we're talking on the same language, okay? Joy, the line extends onto Warwick and traffic can't flow. All right, so yeah, so Joy, if the line is coming out of the drive-through, it's something that we would try to work with the establishment to, there are certain time frames, but we're not trying to give people a ticket for the line if it extends out. We're just trying to work through that, and I understand, right? We want businesses to thrive and do well. But we don't want to impede the flow of traffic and anybody be involved in an accident or get held up, something like that. So we would try to. Most officers are going to try to work through a situation like that to resolve it and not use a traffic summons. I would rather us coordinate and work with people to see what we can do. I know that there's been a couple restaurants that we've had those conversations with before, so now I'm following you. So let me go back and hit a little bit about where the department is, where our city is crime-wise. And I'm going to say it now, and I'm going to say it when I finish. Every statistic that we talk about, every number that we address, I look at crime numbers and look at our strategies. Are they changing them? Are they affecting them? Do we need to go back and readjust? But I know that every one of those numbers, every one of those incidents is a person. It's an individual. It's a community. It's a neighborhood. Right? It's not just a data point or a number. But I talk in those numbers when I look at our strategies. And is what we're doing is being effective, or do we need to make some changes? But I do realize that is an individual person. So I just use that. I want to make sure that's very, very clear. People matter to me. Victims matter to me. Family members, neighborhoods. I see how it affects our officers. but I want to share. Oh, Joy, you're welcome. You're very welcome. So right now, this time last year, our city had 11 homicides in our city. We had a rough start to the year last year and a rough summer. This year, so far, by the grace of God, we have 5 homicides in our city. 3 of those 5 are cleared, meaning that we've made an arrest, and we've made arrests in 2 or 3 from the homicides that have occurred years prior. If that makes sense. So this time last year we had 11 homicides. Today we have 5, and we're going into the summer, and we put some things in place that I believe is going to make a big difference. We changed some strategies about towards the end of the summer last year. I think some of that bled over and has helped us beginning of the year, and some of the strategies we have in place from the precincts, focusing on geographical areas, our narcotics division, our gangs division, our fugitive division, focusing on individuals. We have a good partnership. We have a couple of state troopers that are back working with us again this summer. They came towards the end of last summer, and this year, we have, like I said, we have a great relationship with our state partners, and to have some of them working with embedded with our narcotics division and detective division has been a very plus. So we're trying to address crime quickly when it occurs. So our homicides are down about 55%. Our shootings are down about 20%. One of the things that, in last year, we probably had the lowest number of shootings, non-fatal shootings, shot in the arm, the leg, whatever, probably like in the last 15 years. So that we know that is a hard number to compete against. We're trying to respond to shootings just like we would on a homicide, making sure that our forensics is on scene, that we're canvassing the neighborhood, trying to figure out what happened. I don't want to see issues go with retaliation and, well, we're going to handle it ourselves, but trying to figure out what exactly happened, get to the cause, and address it, and identify the individual or individuals that may have been responsible, and make those arrests when necessary. Work with our Commonwealth Attorney to make sure we're putting good cases together. We go through our crime numbers every Monday morning, Monday afternoon about 1 o'clock, and then again every Thursday at 1 o'clock. So we're constantly looking at those numbers. I'm looking at them from a citywide perspective, and our precinct captains and our assistant chiefs are also looking at them from the precinct perspective. South Precinct is having a great year. Southeast community, lowest number of violent crime, lowest number of property crime. Our Central Precinct has got a good reduction in property crime, and North Precinct has a good reduction in violent crime. Some of the smaller crimes that we deal with are auto theft, and we're seeing some increases in burglaries. But I'll tell you what we're learning and what we're seeing is a lot of our burglaries are domestic related, ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend, people who knew each other, roommates used to live together, have some falling out. And then some of the auto thefts, one thing we could do better with that is if individuals would lock their vehicles, right? We see a lot of vehicles that are left running, whether it's at a convenience store or the windows rolled down and they run in to do something, or they stop somewhere and someone jumps in and the next thing you know, we're taking an auto theft report. The city has got about a 10% reduction in crime overall, and a very good reduction, or probably about the same, about 9-10% in violent crime. But the ones that we're really focused on, the mayor he asked us to try to achieve a 15% reduction in gun violence. So I'm looking at that as our shootings and our homicides. And right now we have a 55% reduction in homicide and a 20% reduction in shootings. But again, every one of those individuals is a person. It's a body. It's a family member. It's a victim, right? And they matter to me. It's not just statistical data, but I do look at it to make sure, do we need to change some of our tactics? Are we solving cases? Are we responding well? Officers are doing an excellent job. The detectives, our forensic technicians, our crime analysts play a big role. The partnerships that we have with schools, the relationships we have with businesses, our use of technology, the training that we have, our state and federal partners, our partners with the Commonwealth Attorney's Office, all those things play together, right? The fire department, neighborhood association, people who have Ring cameras, people that hear things, or churches, or clergy, or faith leaders. All of those things play a role. If it's just, can the police department solve all the crime in the city? No, absolutely not. But if we have the whole city focused in that direction, can we make a huge impact? Absolutely. I joined the mayor in saying we've got to focus on our youth. It's always been a big focus with myself and the police department. When you talk about youth, we're just a couple weeks away from graduation. It has been my practice to attend each high school graduation. We have a young adult police commissioner program. Some of you have probably heard of that. That's a freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior from every high school. And we meet every Wednesday, and whether we're take them out on the police boat, if we're going to if we're picking up trash in the community, if we're having a group discussion on diversity and equity and compassion, if we're at the food bank, if we're interacting with elementary kids, if we're walking in the neighborhood, knocking on doors, just introducing ourselves, checking on Kim, kind of like what you were talking about. That's a great program, and I will tell you, there was probably 10 or 12 high school students that attended our police memorial. Several of them will attend our police recruit graduations. And you just don't see that everywhere. So every police graduation, our memorial service, national night out, award ceremony, any of those events that we hold, we always have a high school student as a guest speaker to kind of give remarks and talk a little bit about their experience with the police department, and then challenge or thank the officers for the work that they do. So just recently, and some of our recruits, right, they're only a couple years older than some of the seniors that are graduating high school. So about a week and a half ago, we took our young adult police commissioners, right, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, 6 times 4, 24. We should have 24 students. But in our program, we started this year with 40. So I don't know how these extra folks jumped in, but that's a good problem to have, to interact with those young people. I really enjoy that. But we set them in a room with our recruit class and set them like a recruit and commissioner, recruit and commissioner. And right, we just had this conversation. Students talked about why they enjoyed the program or why they were involved, and police recruits talked about why they wanted to get into law enforcement or why in the city of Newport News. And then we kind of got into what do recruits want to see from high school students and from the community, and we got what do high school students want to see from recruits? How do they want officers to treat? So the students would talk about, treat us with respect, don't judge us by other interactions you've had, don't judge us by our zip code or neighborhood, don't judge us by race, gender, judge me for me. If I wave to you, please wave back and talk to me. I thought that was really powerful. But then the recruits talked, and they talked about, don't judge me by the uniform that I wear, don't judge me by what you see on TV from another jurisdiction or another story about police. Don't judge me for the area that I work, judge me for who I am. And if I talk to you or wave to you, please wave back. And I'll tell you, it was just like coming together in relationships. And there are even questions about how does media treat law enforcement, or what kind of stories does media do in the community? How do they portray young people? It was just a really good conversation, and I just appreciated that. We do that with every recruit class, and this class graduates in about 6 weeks. So I'm excited, maybe 8 weeks. I'm excited to see that happen. There'll be 18 officers that will graduate. And I'm telling you now, I encourage our community to come out and watch that graduation. You will see high school students there, even over the summer. I promise you, they'll be there, and you'll see a lot of officers that will go to these high school graduations. Right? I think those conversations help. They help us build relationships. And when we talk about relationships, I think that's so important. Instead of having confrontations, that we're having conversations. So there's one that I wanted to share with you. About a month ago, we have a police, the Citizens Police Academy, and one of the participants was the president of the NAACP chapter here in Newport News, Miss Brooks. And when I talked to Miss Brooks, she's like, Chief, I wanted to understand a little bit about what police do, why they do it, how do they do it. And in those Citizens Academy, what we do is we have individuals that come in and talk about use of force. We have individuals that come in and talk about recruiting, about investigating crime, about gang activity. We have these conversations, and you really get an in-depth look, inside look at what we do in law enforcement, technology we have, those type of things. So as we go forward, and they have their graduation, in the next class, the vice president of the NAACP attended, and now they can sit on our use of force review board. but we just have these conversations. So we had a town hall meeting, if you will, here at police headquarters, NAACP and myself, and we just interacted. There was, again, a high school student who helped moderate. We just had some really good conversations. We talked about what we do in the police department, the direction, what culture I'm trying to create here, and as we move forward, what are some of our challenges, what I think some of our highlights are, what are some things that I think we continue to have to work on. We talked about our use of force review board that is a sergeant, a patrol officer, a captain, and a lieutenant, 4, and then 5 civilians. And the civilians that we've had individuals that work or retire from the shipyard, people that are in education, principals sit on that use of force review board. We've had individuals that have retired from the military, pastors, people from the NAACP, and having them sit there, watch the video, right, of the use of force, right, and then they decide. Those 9 vote. In policy, out of policy, or it's in policy, but we think there might be some things you could do different. In that room, when we're watching the videos, the officers giving testimony of what they saw, what was going through their mind. We also have our training academy, our instructors. So it's important. You might ask a question to, why do we train that way? And the training academy can explain, if you will, they can explain. This is why we teach de-escalation. This is how we handle pursuit. Or this is why we would have 2 or 3 officers respond. Or this is how we would use a taser type situation if we needed, and when we would not want to use a taser type situation. So to have all that together, I think that's very, very important. I think it's a mutual respect, but also to have that training division in the room and explain the type of training. You've got the officer that can respond to questions that the use of force members on the panel would ask. And then again, just having that NAACP town hall meeting, all that goes to outreach. All that talks about bringing our community and citizens together to have those type of conversations. I think that's one thing we continue to strive to really focus on and push in the department. Let's see, Joy. I came to the NAACP meeting. It was great and informative. So Joy, wow. So I wasn't going to say anything, but I'm glad. I appreciate that. So Joy, maybe tell me in a sentence or two. I mean, when you said it was great and informative, what did you like about that meeting? And do you think it was valuable? Do you think it was worthwhile? So I enjoyed the questions. I enjoyed the interaction, and I hope we were able to talk a little bit about the things that people experience or questions that people might have about the police department and things that we do. So yeah, if you don't mind, Joy, I would be interested in any comments you have. But I appreciate you being there and how that went. I think that was important in the interaction we had. It was pretty well attended too. We had some other officers that came and sat in the back. It was just a good event, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that you were there. I really enjoyed it. We talked a little bit about our recruits. We've got graduation coming up. I think it's the first week in July. 18. If everyone passes, right? Knock on wood. That's what we're shooting for. 18 recruits will graduate and walk across the stage in July. It'll be interesting to see where they're selected. We have like a NFL draft, if you will. The captains will gather around, and the recruit instructors, right? The academy instructors will come in. They'll give us a little bit of background on each recruit, and then they draft. And they pick who they want in their precinct, and they get heated a little bit. I want this individual. No, I need that individual. Now that individual speaks Spanish, and I got a Hispanic population, so we have a draft set up, and it forces the captains to get to know the recruits, to engage a little bit with them early on in their training, and what best fits their precinct. So I definitely enjoy that. And the graduations in our city, it's an event. It's very well attended. Mayors, city council members, school board members, individuals really come out. It's just, I want it to be special. You know, in a police officer's career, promotions, the date you're hired, graduation ceremonies, those are things that you always remember. It's an important event. We do try to have a high school student as a guest speaker at each one, and I think that makes a lot of difference. So, my friend Keith is talking about 30 for 30 initiative, and your desire for the second language speakers. Are you seeing numbers going to those areas? So, what Keith's talking about is we do have an initiative here where we have signed up for and committed to try and reach 30 by 30. So, what that is 30%. You know, law enforcement has been a male-dominated profession for years, and we're trying to bring more and more females into our organization. By the year 2030, we're trying to shoot for a goal of 30% of our police department would be female. I think the national average is around 15%. So we're shooting for 30%. Several departments across the country are making the same, or trying for the same goal. I think we're about maybe 23% right now. Our last academies have been very, very well balanced. I think you'll find this department is probably one of the most diverse in the country. We also want 10% of our recruits to come in speaking Spanish. Nothing against Rosetta Stone and any of those other, but if I have to go to Florida or New York or non-traditional places to find individuals who can join our department and speak Spanish, that's something we're really pushing. We have a large Hispanic population that's growing in our community, and we've got to be able to communicate. So that's important to me. So those are two things. So Keith, if you're asking how are those efforts going, they're going very well. I feel like we're on a good pace to hit 30 by 30. We're doing 3 academies a year, about every 4 months, so there is some overlap. And our Spanish speakers, I think we just have to continue to push there and recruit and try to bring in. About a couple months ago, when we talk about recruiting, Keith, a couple months ago, myself and I took about 4 or 5 officers with me. We went to every single high school, all 6 high schools in our city, and we just kind of did a panel. And those young adult police commissioners that you heard me talk about, they helped facilitate that. So individuals, they would pass the microphone around to classmates, right? And we probably averaged about 100 students at each school. And some took longer, but once somebody starts the first question, then it just unloads. So it was myself, we had someone from forensics, Ms. Wells, phenomenal. We had someone from our special victims, a detective, a school resource officer, and just fielding questions from students, right? And I thought that was extremely informative, the questions they asked, the interactions we had. I really, really enjoyed that. And that was at each high school. I think that builds rapport. We talked about young adult police commissions. We talked about our use of force review board. We talked about recruiting, right, and what we're looking for in officers and what's important. But I will tell you, the stars of the show are Miss Wells from forensics and the detectives. And the school resource. Everybody loves her. So, and that's good. And I want individuals to see a diverse department. I want them to see different aspects of the department and be able to interact. And it's good for the officers to have that interaction as well with young people. So I really enjoyed that. Brenda, what do you think is helping with crime rates going down that hasn't worked in the past? So Brenda, I think that we always have to be able to reevaluate. If we say this is going to be our strategy, we're going to do strategy A and we're going to do it for 12 months. Well, things happen, things change. We have to be flexible. But I do believe that what I'm seeing work right now is a couple different things. So I'll share with them, Brenda, and then you got to delete this message, right? You can't let anybody, it's top secret classified. I think I am seeing a shift in other entities and communities taking on the issue of crime. So what do I mean by that? I'm seeing some consorted efforts, teamwork with the police department, fire department, sheriff's department, human services or social services, our pastors and our faith leaders, our schools, sharing of information, working with our hospitals, right? Juvenile services, our city manager's office, right? Midnight basketball, the Friday night nets. So let me just kind of share a little bit of those things with you. So just about 3 weeks ago, we had a location of a family that seemed to be surrounded with some neighborhood issues, kids were having some issues at school, some things in the community. So we brought in a lot of different aspects to sit down at the table. A lot of the entities I just talked about: code enforcement, schools, the police department. What can we do collectively? What can we do collectively? What services are out there? And well, I will tell you, at one point we just knocked on the door and had a conversation with the family. That if you don't change, if your kids don't change some of the behaviors, I'm afraid someone's going to get hurt. And that opened the door. I think it showed that we were not just here to arrest someone, right? That we're here to try to solve and focus on a problem. So it was a really good conversation. I think everybody playing a role. Crime affects everyone. But then if I take it more on the police department, I look at that we're focusing on geographical areas. That's kind of precinct based, and then focusing on violent offenders. That, individuals don't know boundaries, right? If you walk across the street, you're in Hampton. If you walk up, you go a block, you're in North Precinct, Central Precinct. So focusing on those individuals that have chosen to do acts of violence, individuals that are partaking in illegal drug trade, individuals that are committing crimes against individuals, breaking into homes, interjecting firearms and robberies or acts of violence. Focusing on those individuals, our investment in technology, judges and Commonwealth attorneys and defense attorneys and juries want to see more and more of, well, do you have the video footage? Do you have the recording? Do you have the still photograph? All of those things, I think, are playing a role. The training of our officers, interacting, our community youth and outreach division. I think all of those things. So, Brent, I will tell you, if you ask me, is it one thing I couldn't tell you? I think it's collectively all those different things and finding the pieces. The Friday night basketball or Friday night nets is something that's gone on for 2 weeks now, and it's more for younger, from hours from 6 to 8, and then like from 8 to 10, 10:30, 11 o'clock it's older, and we do it at Denby Community Center on Friday and Achievable Dreams tennis courts on Friday. So I usually, what I've done the last two, maybe I'll mix it up a little bit, but what I've done the last 2 Fridays is spent the first hour and a half at Denby and then another hour and a half down at the Friday night nets in the tennis courts in Achievable Dream. And I tell you, we were showing up a little bit. Last Friday, I went down to Achievable Dream, the tennis courts there, and there were like 12 firemen in there playing basketball with kids, and that's what I'm talking about. Those breaking down barriers, having those interactions. I got to play. Look, I did a little one-on-one game with a 10-year-old. He had some crazy moves. We won't get into who won or not, or who won or lost, right? But I had all this gunbo on, though. I'm just saying. But man, I just enjoyed it, and we just had fun and interacting. There's food, music, there's video games there. There's something for everybody to do if you just want to come and a safe place to hang out. And there were several pastors. I have had churches call me and emails that come through. Chief, we're praying for the department. We're praying for our city. We're praying for our leadership. You saw the mayor just had a press conference yesterday. We're investing about $500 million in youth programs and work outreach, and he kind of laid it out there. Like, people always ask, what can I do to help? What can I do to get involved? And he's like, look, if you have a business or a location that's willing to take on some young people to work, that's what we're looking for in job placement. So I think all those things, I didn't mean to take up so much time on that, but I think it's a great question. All those things are playing a role. And I spend a lot of time talking to other chiefs and other jurisdictions here in the 6 or 7 cities that surround us. What are you seeing that's working? What are you seeing differently? What's worked? What's not worked? Here's what's working for us. And we have those conversations. So, I think that in a nutshell. Let me scroll back up just a little bit. Did I miss anybody, or did I get Joy? I like the different ideas people come up with to make these things better. As everyone shared their ideas and came together, it's a decision. High school kids, great reading. And yeah, they don't need to read. Look, they read my bio, and I'm like, just stop. Just say Chief Drew. That's perfect. Also, the lady who brought the small child that was so well behaved, it really had a nice turnout. I will tell you, most of us had a fun time taking pictures with that little child. But yeah, Samaya, I gave her a hard time about the bio. Just like, hey, just Chief Drew. That's it. My bio and $1.50 will get you any ice cold soda from any 7-Eleven in our area. No, I enjoyed it, and I appreciate you sharing that, Joy. I thought it was a nice conversation. It was a safe place, and for us, the NAACP, just to sit down and work through some things and talk about. I just thought it was open, and I really enjoyed it. Keith, I've been trying to get my agency into our local high schools for years since we started hiring 18 to 20-year-olds for a position called, some powers, the deputy chief, just no fire them when they turn 21, especially for those young people who may not be able to attend college due to finances or grades. Just want to take time off from learning before going to college. No, Keith, I agree. I believe the more we can do with young people, the better. I think we learn as much from them as they do from us. I was taken back. Our guest speaker at our memorial service, he's talking about sacrifice and what he's learned in the Young Adult Police Commissioner program. And then he says this. He said, I've got to interact with the chief of police, and I would have never thought he would have come to see me play baseball at Denby High School. And I'll tell you, that hit me a little bit. That's true. I did skip out on a meeting. Don't tell my boss. I did skip out on a meeting to go watch him play baseball at Denby High School. I didn't think he would bring it up or mention it, and I didn't really know how much it would really mean to him. But for him to take that moment and talk about that impacted me a little bit. And the relationship we have, I think that building those relationships and those interactions are more important than some meetings we go to, right? That here's a high school student, and I'll tell you, I remember being in the stands, and some people think, Chief, is there a problem? Is everything okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm just here on a Tuesday afternoon watching a baseball game. That's it. That matters. Chief, are you walking in the neighborhood and something happened? No, I'm just here walking in the community to interact with people. So, yeah, but when he brought that up, it took me back a little bit, and it meant a lot to me. So, yeah. So, Joy, thank you for that. Wow, it's the little things that make the biggest difference. Brenda, can I quote you on that? I'm gonna put that on a piece of paper on my door. It's gonna be our new slogan. It's the little things that matter. You're absolutely right. It makes the biggest difference. There's short conversations, there's walks in the community. There's a reason that me and Chief Grinstead go to every high school football game on Friday, and then we're back at it on Saturday afternoon. There's a reason that we're going to go out to Port Warwick and walk around a little bit and see the individual. At Port Warwick, the new festival's music concerts start tomorrow, right? So I'll be out there, and the concerts that they're bringing in the southeast community, I want to attend that. Being at those things matters, whether it's middle school football games, whether it's festivals at City Center or where am I thinking? Hilton Village, whether it's attending the farmers market, just showing up, just being there matters. It makes a difference. The reason I'm going to every high school is to show respect for those seniors who are graduating, and the respect I have for the students that are in our Young Adult Police Commissioner program that are graduating. That matters. It makes a difference. So, Brenda, I could not agree with you more. I'm writing that down. It's going to be our new quote for the Newport News Police Department. I appreciate that. Some other things that we've done in our department. We have hired a domestic violence specialist, Dr. Cheryl Shavers. She does a great job. She's actually formed a coalition. Matt, right? 1 year tomorrow. And these are individuals that come together. We meet at police headquarters, and they talk about domestic violence. What are we seeing trends in domestic violence? What I'm seeing right now is how they can escalate and how they can partake in other crimes, right? So auto theft, burglaries, other assaults that are occurring, we see are domestic related, are starting to increase. We just had a homicide Thursday afternoon. There was a domestic situation. Officers arrived, and family member on family member, and arrest was made within 5 minutes of the incident occurring. But what happened? What was it that led to that? Cheryl has really changed the way our department focuses on domestic violence. And she's taught us that when we walk across that threshold, our demeanor kind of sets the tone of how that interaction is going to go. Relationship with our Commonwealth attorney, victim witness advocates at the Commonwealth Attorney's Office and work together. But this coalition just talks about new ideas and bringing awareness and getting out the word, and whether we're doing marches at City Center or just having conversations or testimonies from individuals who have gone through domestic violence, I think that matters. And to bring in, I can read it, other officers can read it from a PowerPoint, but it is something to someone who's been a victim, or Dr. Shavers, who's had so much education and experience in dealing with domestic violence and working it, talking it, teaching it. I think that makes our department better. And then we also have 2 individuals that have been trained by Human Services or Social Services that work for our department, right? So if we go to a scene and there's a child, and instead of calling and waking somebody up at 1 in the morning, and we get a litany of questions that we need to get answered, and by the time they get to the scene, we may have been sitting with a child in a scene for 2 hours, and to have someone here in our department that works from the hours of 6 in the evening till 4 in the morning, the response time's gone from a couple hours to 15 minutes, and it's better to take that child somewhere and surround them with stuffed animals and a sanitized environment, but we can still get the same information, but not do it there with the street or crime scene tape and lights flashing. I think that's a game changer. And I get a lot of calls from departments around the country. How do you do that? Who does the training? Well, we hire them, we pay them, but we send them to Human Services or Social Services to get the training, and then they come back here. And we're building, right? We're building. I know that we're building up individuals that will eventually leave us. The experience they get and to go be social workers, or I get that, but it provides a service. And whether we're hiring someone right out of college after we give them some training and bring them back to the department, I just think that's beneficial. The other thing that we're doing a little different is we've really started the last 12 months on an environmental program. We have 1 environmental officer. My intent is to have 2 more environmental officers after the class graduates in the first week of July. That each precinct will have their own environmental officer. And what does that environmental officer do? We address blight. Lights that are out, bad lighting, signs that are pushed down, issues that we might have with homelessness or the struggles that homelessness face, repairs in the street. Just right, it's kind of that broken windows theory. If there's who addresses it, and officers are here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and to have someone that can be a liaison between our code enforcement and between our public works, that's a big benefit to us. So Don Greathouse has done a phenomenal job. He just got a nice award not too long ago, but we need to expand that a little bit and take it to other parts of our city. So dilapidated buildings, areas that trash is piled up, illegal dumping of tires, all those things, our environmental officer can focus on. I'm looking to make 2 more of those here in about 6 weeks. Put 1 in each precinct so they can address the issues that are specific to that precinct. So I think some of those things that we do that are non-traditional in law enforcement, I think is going to be beneficial. But we can work with our 4 Oaks, and we can work with our Human Services, right? And just to do some address things in non-traditional ways. I think that's the things that we're working on. All homicides are sad, but domestics are almost as sad. Someone should just walk away. Joy, I'll tell you, it is sad. It's frustrating. I look at domestics a lot different today than I did 30-some years ago when I first started. And I think I really credit Dr. Shavers with that a lot. Cheryl talks a lot about why an individual stays, what other options do they have, out of fear. It's just a litany of things that I never really looked at before. I can remember starting out as an officer, like, this individual assaulted you, why would you stay in this environment? And then when I sit down and my experiences and getting older and evolving and then listening to experts, I get it. It's hard to make that break. And hey, where do I go? And what do I do with 3 children? I get it. And it is a very, very complex. Domestic violence is tough, and so yeah. Rose, hola, Chief. Keep up the Rose. Thank you. That means a lot. I appreciate that. We'll continue, like I said, each day we try to get better. Right? I say it all the time. We should be better today than we were yesterday, but we have to be better tomorrow we are today. So I hope I haven't taken up too much of your time or gone off too much into left or right field. We got about 5 or 6 minutes left. I will tell you, after I finish today, I'm going to go over to Suffolk. They have one of the things I want to bring to the department. We have some money set aside for a simulator, and you may have seen some of these things before, but they really evolved, right? So it used to just be one screen, and you kind of like stepping into a real life video game, and officers make decisions. Now they've expanded to 4 or 5 screens, or 360 all the way around. There's 2 really that are kind of leading the way. Suffolk has one, and Norfolk has another. So sort of the same concept, different versions. So myself and Chief Hires and some people from the academy, we're going to ride over to Suffolk, take a look at their program. Matter of fact, before I came in here, I was just on the phone with the Suffolk chief, and we were having a conversation, and I'm like, hey, I just want to come see it. It's no pressure. I just want to see how it plays out and the feel. But I think what I'm looking for, right, is tomorrow. How are we training better? I get articles sent to me a lot about what other people are doing, other departments around the country. I think it's Denver that is responding to shootings just like they were a homicide. We're doing that. Virtual headsets, if you've seen, right? So even this virtual training that we can do, we run an officer through a scenario, these headsets that can be put on, and immediately you feel like you're in, again, right, this is technology, but some of the younger folks may get this quicker than me, right? That you put on this headset, and you're hearing and seeing a training scenario right away, right? A situation where you might confront someone with a knife, you might confront someone who has mental illness, you might confront someone who's armed with a firearm, whatever it might be. Think of how quick, right after roll call, U5, we're going to put through a scenario. Just training, getting it better. So when we face those situations in real life, we have something to draw back on. So I'm looking about what's best for us tomorrow, and investments that we make today. So I look forward to going over and partnering with Suffolk a little bit, seeing what they have, and then I think we're going to Norfolk next week. Faith, good afternoon. I'm glad you are here today, and I appreciate everybody who took the time. Those that have chimed in today and asked some really good questions, and those that will look at maybe go back and review. We're going to do this again at 6 o'clock this evening. Maybe I'll be able to come back and tell you a little bit about what I saw in Suffolk about the system that they have. Jordan, what is happening about
Orby.
Wow, are you talking about guns that we're ordering online, or guns that no serial numbers? What are we talking about, Jordan? Do you guys know? Have you heard that term before?
The only Orby I've heard are those gel, like, you put them in water and they expand. They're like a toy by a kid. They're like these jelly, like, play toys.
I gotcha. So, Jordan, I have not seen them. I've heard about them. Is that what they're actually called, Orby? I've heard of them calling like water guns that expand. So I have not seen them. The things that we're really concerned about right now with firearms are the ones that you're ordering online and people are building and putting together, have no serial number, and the other is what they call a switch, where that's a small piece of metal that can be put into a firearm, and instead of pulling the trigger one round, right, it becomes automatic. Right, you pull the trigger and you get like a burst of 12 rounds. Those are the things that we've seen. We've partnered a lot with our federal partners on trying to address the sources where those are coming from. I'll tell you, about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, we did have an individual that was kind of a middle person making the orders here in Newport News and then shipping things out. But our federal partners moved very, very quickly on that. As Keith helped me out, right? Guns that shoot plastic balls. So I've heard a little bit about it. I haven't seen a lot here in Newport News. I'll make a note here when we have our regional chiefs meeting. That could be something that we bring up if we're seeing it at other places. But I've seen a little bit or heard a little bit about it on the news, but I have not seen it here. But I'll try to do some research. Keith, I don't know if you guys have seen it up where you're at. I haven't seen it. Keith's telling me a lot of kids use them for senior sections this time of year. Yeah, I guess when I was growing up, it was like the old BB and pellet gun. So you got all these different new names. I don't have to check it out. But that's a great question. So look, it is I see it on TikTok. Keith, you see it on TikTok, do you? I trust you, whatever you say, my friend. But look, I'm gonna jump off here. Myself and Chief Hires are gonna make a quick ride over to Suffolk. I look forward to that. I appreciate just the conversations that we've had today. Like I said, I'll be back at 6 o'clock this evening. Lauren, are you and Matt coming back with me, or just got one of you tonight? Matt, just me and you tonight, Matt? You gonna let me touch anything? No, I get it. So Kelly is off this week. If you didn't know, Lauren is our new, works in our media relations, new PIO office. You guys will see her out on the street a lot. And Matt's been with us a while now, so I think it's important that we market our department, we tell the good stories that we have, and share those that aren't so good, right? To be open and transparent as much as we can. I think that makes a difference. Miss Whalen, hi Chief, sorry I'm late. Have a good afternoon. Anna, thank you, I appreciate it. Joy, we like you, Joy, travel safe. Joy, I will. Look, I'm gonna let Chief Hires drive. He knows those roads better than me, so. Gosh, there was one other thing I wanted to share with you all that we just did. It just popped into my head. VIN etching. So, Detective Trong and others have really put together an elaborate, like catalytic converters. We were going through a spell. We were having catalytic converters cut off of vehicles. And if you know what you're doing, you take a quick jigsaw and you're underneath there, and you can remove that in about 5 minutes. And it costs hundreds of dollars to replace the damage to the vehicle. But we've come up with a system here with the surrounding jurisdictions that we are putting the VIN number on the catalytic converter, and then each jurisdiction has its own spray color that's associated with the department. So if you steal a catalytic converter and try to pawn it or sell it or turn it into some type of vehicle maintenance shop, it's got a VIN number on there, they're not going to touch it, right? So also, preventive-wise, if I crawl underneath the car and, oh wait, this has got a VIN etched already on there. The detectives here, we've done just an amazing job. We were just at a location 2 or 3 weeks ago, and there's like 150 vehicles. They were at Calvary Chapel, they were at a Korean church here in our city. We want to do some other locations. We've had some that have got canceled because of rain and weather, but we're going to continue to push that. Some other jurisdictions have actually come over and witnessed how that is. It's pretty elaborate, right? You come in, you can register, or you can just show up, whatever works best. They'll drive your car up, and it takes them about 5 minutes to do, and then you're on your way. So it's really great, and a lot of it is detectives, officers, and volunteers from either our Citizens Academy or CP AAA Academy. They just do a great job, and it's really good. I think, Ann, what do you tell me the next one? The next catalytic converter is on July 27th. Maybe one, yeah, I can tell you we're going to do one before July 27th. We'll do one in June for sure. They've just been very, very important, and it's been a great turnout. So I really want to push that and go forward. I thank the officers and the detectives that are doing that. Jordan, I was asking because cops are taking and breaking them, and our parents are supposed to come and get them back. Jordan, yeah, like I said, I haven't heard of that so much here. I'm not saying it hasn't happened, or we haven't got calls for it. I just haven't seen it. I'll have to look into that, my friend. But my friend Keith up in the little bit northern part of the state says he saw him on TikTok. So I'll have to do some research on that. So it's 1:03. I've held you guys over about 3 minutes. I apologize. Be back at 6 o'clock. Appreciate the time. Brenda, won't be able to send that. Likely they do. They will. Wait. What? Won't they be able to sand that off like they do with the guns? Brenda? Are you talking about the VIN etching? So they burn it in, right? It's etched into the catalytic converter, and I will tell you, we have seen a tremendous decrease. And I think it's because we've published it and we've talked about it. If that's what you're talking about, I haven't heard of any issues, anybody sanding them off, and I've seen a tremendous decrease in our catalytic converter theft. So we were getting really hit hard for a while. And you can take it. So we done? We timed out?
No,
In the live video?
You're good.
So listen, I appreciate it. Keith, have a good day. Thank you, my friend. We'll keep working it together, and I'll see you guys again at 6 this evening. All right. God bless you. Thank you.